No Daredevil for Spider-Man 3 No Way Home. Oh, no. Well, anyway, here's Cosmic Book Knows. Basically, Charlie Cox shot down the rumor. So this all comes from the trailer where there was this scene where this guy is shoving some papers down on the desk, which some people thought was Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock being Peter's lawyer, telling him to keep his mouth shut and all that. Which is the first thing a lawyer tells you to do when you've been arrested. But I never took it as that. I thought this was just one of the detectives slamming down what they've got on him and all that. So it was a fan theory, and Charlie Cox said, I can promise you those are not my forearms. So he goes on about there's rumors had been floating around, and I was hopeful that there was some truth to it, but it appears that's not the case, that his Matt Murdock would show up in Spider-Man, but also in other MCU properties like the D Plus shows of Hawkeye and She-Hulk. And with She-Hulk being a lawyer herself, it stood to reason that they would cross paths. And there was even some talk that perhaps Jen Walters, who's who She-Hulk really is, would appear possibly in a cameo or something here. I don't know if she would be Peter's lawyer or whatnot, maybe. But Daredevil would fit more into it because that's more or less been the case over the decades in Marvel Comics, and not just with Spider-Man, but even with other superheroes. But if there is, it won't be Charlie Cox. So he says, yes, I've heard those rumors, but it's certainly not my Daredevil. I'm not involved in it. If that's true, it's not me. It's with another actor. And that's a possibility. He goes on about, it would have been cool. He liked the movies and that they could have interacted, but there were legal reasons. Yeah, I don't know what it's about. Yeah, we kind of do, though. Maybe he doesn't. And here we go as to what it is. There is a rumor that Kevin Feige might actually be going with his own version of a new Daredevil in the MCU. As reportedly it is said, Feige is a control freak who only likes to do things his own way. And it has also been said Feige didn't get along with the former head of Marvel TV behind the Daredevil Marvel Netflix shows, Jeff Loeb. So perhaps all the Marvel Netflix stuff has been scrapped and won't be incorporated into the MCU. And then Matt McCoy says, insiders filled him in that Daredevil could get recast. Now he says, could get recast. But Charlie Cox is really popular in the role. But Feige just doesn't want to acknowledge any of that. And here's another article a while back of Kingpin possibly showing. And Vincent D'Onofrio pretty much, again, popular in that character as well. And Kingpin has a lot of interactions with Spider-Man. But I guess it doesn't really matter because Spider-Man hasn't been Spider-Man. This is the third film, or, well, I guess if you count the other, it's quite a few films because he was in the Avengers movies and Civil War and all that. To get more into the world of Spider-Man, which was never really established in any of those films. It's almost completely unrecognizable as Spider-Man. So, I guess it was never going to happen anyway, unless they could come up with some means by which they just buy the rights out from Sony or buy Sony in total just to get Spider-Man, which could have been a deal, but I don't know if they're capable of it at this point. So it's all very sad, especially since it seems like it would be easier just to work out a deal to weave in Daredevil in those and then reintroduce him on D Plus or in his own film down the road. Especially since people really liked, and myself included, Charlie Cox's performance there. Daredevil was really the best. I guess Punisher was sort of good. The others were just kind of lackluster, but of the Netflix series. But Daredevil stands as really the pinnacle of a superhero series. There's so many lessons to learn from that, especially you could do a Batman series like that. You really could. Why won't you do it? But anyway, so this is unfortunate. I was hoping there was some truth to this, even if it was just a brief cameo and stuff, and establishing that. It's just one of those cool things. It's very in keeping with what Marvel's supposed to be. And Spider-Man and Daredevil have a lot of run-ins because they're in the same neighborhood, more or less, and they're the same type of foes that they take on. And they share Kingpin. The Kingpin's actually was introduced in Spider-Man, not Daredevil, and all of that stuff. But, of course, Kingpin pretty much became Daredevil's main nemesis, more or less, and all that. But the idea that it probably does just boil down to this hissy fit that Feige had with Loeb and the separation that happened between the Netflix shows and the films. They hinted and insinuated they were all in the same world, but it clearly just wasn't the case. And you had greatness in the form of Daredevil and just absolute trash in the form of Inhumans and that sort of thing. So, but he's just guy holds a grudge, huh? Which doesn't bode well for his judgment on future projects. Because keep in mind, the success of the MCU wasn't completely him, but now he's completely in charge. So, not really impressed with his choices of late. And if this is all about him, then this is another one you can add on the list of bad ideas he's had lately. And so it's unfortunate. I don't have a lot of hope I haven't enjoyed the other two Spider-Man films. This one looks interesting and cool. It's got Doctor Strange in it. But considering recent comments that Feige's made about Doctor Strange, I'm really worried about how he's going to be depicted in the future. But at least, the synopsis sounds interesting and cool and all that. So, third time could be the charm. But still, another downer. That won't get, maybe there will be a Matt Murdock in there. It'll be a new one. But I wonder what boxes have to be checked for this new Daredevil, if there is one. Anyway, there you go. As of now, it appears to be, at least for Charlie Cox, no Daredevil in Spider-Man. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.